I'm here to talk to you tonight about perspective, basically. And I want you to think very carefully about some of the things that I'm saying to you, because they apply whether you're in orchestra, you're in choir, you're in band, you're in dance, you're in guard. These principles of something larger than yourself will apply. So I have a motto. This motto I use as a musician, as a conductor, and I try to instill in my students. Now, I normally have 4 years to do that, but I think I'm down to 13 minutes, so I'm going to go pretty quick, and it's one of the reasons why I brought my binder out here, so I stay on track. This is my motto. We serve the music. The music doesn't serve us. What does this mean? Very simply, it means you have to put the music first, not the music ego things. What if I'm last chair? What if I go out on stage and I make a mistake? That's stuff that creeps into your mind when you're not focused on the music. You're going to be there for the music, and the music's going to be there for you. By setting an intention that says, I can look beyond what I'll get from music. Think about that for a second. I can look beyond what I'm getting from music and focus on really what you're supposed to be doing, and that's creating. This quote's pretty famous. You see it a lot on folders and things like that, but this really resonates with me because before you can put music first, you have to recognize that you're a musician. When I'm working with volunteering at my church and with youth, and we do big introductions, this kills me every time. Kids go, I play soccer and I do band. I do orchestra, I do choir. Those are activities. That's not who you are. You're in those activities because you are a musician. Do you ever introduce yourself to somebody as a musician? Because once you decided to give yourself to music, maybe it was in 6th grade when you picked up a trumpet, or the first time you were in a choir, you became a musician. Musicians create. So on the count of 3, I want you all to say with me, I am a musician. 1, 2, 3.
I am a musician.
And when you introduce yourself to somebody, when they're like, what do you do out of the school day? Tell them you're a musician. It's not an exclusive term for people who make money at it. It's who you are when you create something pretty wonderful. This weekend, you're talking about leaders, and leaders serve the music. How do you do that in your ensembles? Well, first, you go with the intent to make music, and that helps your director establish a culture that says music is first. Say it. Music is first. Music is first. No composer writes his music and says, well, I hope they start playing that after the drama in the first violin section seating dies down. No composer does that. The composer wants you to honor his intent. Your conductor wants to guide you through that. You put the music first. So I think there's 2 types of leadership that you can demonstrate in your ensemble. The first type is quiet leadership. I think it's things that you don't actually recognize are leadership qualities. Being prepared. When you're prepared, you're setting the tone for everybody around you that you're there for the music. Okay? Willing attitude, what does that mean? Well, I think it goes beyond what you think it does. Well, I'm there and I want to try. It goes to the point where you're willing to take risks with your music. You're willing to make mistakes to make the music better. You're willing to let your conductor push you past where you think you can go, all for the sake of putting music first, creating the music. And then body language. I've been an orchestra director in the public schools for more years than I'm going to admit to, and I can tell immediately what kind of day my students are having, immediately, by just how they sit, what their intention is for that day. Maybe they're back on the test that they didn't do so well on. Maybe there's, boy or girlfriend drama. I can tell. But when you're in that rehearsal, you've got to let that go because you're there to what? Serve the music. You're there to serve the music. So body language. And then there's what I call active leadership. This is where you're volunteering musical ideas. Like maybe you have some music in you that's not being expressed. Talk to your conductor about it. You know, could we do this? Could we do that to make the music better? Absolutely, I love those suggestions. Perceiving and attending to need. In the string world, we as conductors, we edit very heavily the music, so it has fingerings and bowings and all these different guides so that visually, when you have 20 people in a section, all of the motions are the same, the bow styles are the same. But we make mistakes because we're human. If you see that mistake, don't just continue to play that mistake, talk to your section about it so that you don't waste time on doing something other than what? Making music, putting music first. And then also in the string ensemble, we do a lot of purposeful moving that helps cue and keep us together. In fact, a couple times a year, I don't even take the podium. I leave the job to the kids because they move more, they connect more when they're leading themselves. It's Baroque chamber style. I didn't, come up with myself, but it's really rewarding to get to come off the stage and see kids lead themselves. It's amazing. So my string players out there, if you're not moving and you're not cueing, you're not doing your full job. And of course, active leadership means you always have a pencil. You do, right? Maybe two. I want to end tonight, my time with you, with a story about the first time as a young musician, I realized that my section depended on me, my conductor depended on me, and more importantly, the music depended on me. I'm going to set the stage. I'm going to go ahead and embarrass myself because this happened a long time ago. Give you a little context. That's me in 1992. I know. Yeah, I'm the one on the left, okay? Yeah, just making sure. All right, and I'm in Austria. It's a huge, huge music festival that I had the privilege to be a part of, playing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony with 200-member choir, full complement of strings, winds, brass, the full symphony, playing Beethoven's Ninth, which is arguably one of the best pieces of music to get to play as a musician. I got there because I was in a string quartet in college that we auditioned and earned the right, and then we also were going to play in the orchestra. So I knew as the second violin in the quartet, I was going to be a second violinist for the orchestra. So the first rehearsal comes around, and the stage manager is frantically trying to put everybody in chairs. I guess that was before they learned about name tags or whatever. I don't know, not for me to judge. And so I'm waiting, and I'm noticing that all of the principal players are being seated by the university faculty who was running the music festival, except principal second. You know, in a movie, when they blur the periphery so that whatever's coming at you, you have your focus on it, out the corner of my eye, I see the conductor coming directly at me. And those music ego things, like I'm not good enough, I don't want to be last chair, all those things start to play in my mind. I thought, I'm already kicked out, I haven't even played a note yet. That's not what he wanted. He wanted for me to be principal second. Well, that's a pretty big task, and I thought, okay, I'm up to the challenge. But then he said the words that put a chill in my heart. You are going to lead each day a 90-minute sectional for the second violins. I didn't know how to do that. I had no idea. I had never done that before. And again, those I words, those music ego words started to come in. I'm not a faculty member. The second violins are going to sound awful. I can't do this. Can my parents fly me out of here? I wanted out. I did not want to accept the challenge. So as we are rehearsing the first movement, and I'm watching the clock tick to that point where I'm going to be leading this sectional, my mouth is getting drier, my heart rate is pounding. I'm not focused on making music, I'm focusing on escape. How can I escape? So we get to our sectional, and what does any leader do? They say, well, let's introduce ourselves. That's when terror set in. Because of the 14 people in my section, 2 of us spoke English as our native language. It gets worse. 5 different languages for 14 people. We had yes, no, and hello. You gotta remember, this is before smartphones. Like, we couldn't look this stuff up. We just had to go. So the next 85 minutes of the sectional were that. There was nothing we could do. It was awful. And I left feeling dejected, like I hadn't done my job, that conductor was gonna come flying at me again and tell me I was fired. And I kept focusing on me. I was not putting music first. So that night I didn't sleep. The other 3 members of my quartet, they were not nice about it. They gave me a hard time about it the whole time. And the next morning, as I'm walking to rehearsal, is when it hit me. I'm focusing on the wrong thing here. I need to be focusing on the music. And if I can get everybody in my section to focus on the music, we'll find common ground. So over that week, we had to figure out how to communicate. We had to problem solve. And we did it in the universal language of music. We pointed to the things that needed to be fixed. We demonstrated and played for each other. You know, I don't know, do you guys like to play for your peers in a high-pressure situation? There's some people going, okay, who are these people? They're like people, yes, and there's a bunch of people going down, so I'm like, I'm ambivalent. So, you know, that's a pretty tough situation to be in. We don't know each other at all, so we don't know if people are being what? Supportive, right? But by the end of that first week, we took back a product that we were proud of. We put the music first, and those things that you want from music happened. We were proud. We were confident. Most importantly, we honored what Beethoven wanted, and we honored what our conductor wanted. We put music first. We served the music. In my lifetime, when I was your age, I don't think I had any idea of where music was going to take me. Not at all. I was just going from one concert to one concert, praying to get in college with a scholarship. But music has given me so much. In fact, tonight, I met great people already from this weekend that I feel close to and a connection with, as I'm sure you are starting to find those people in today. I promise you, if you focus first that you are a musician, say it, I am a musician, and you put the music what? First. The music will always be there for you, always. We serve the music does not serve us. Thank you.